Hi, welcome to Big Data Analytics tutorial. In this video, I will discuss what is Apache Ambari, why Apache Ambari is required in Big Data Analytics. So before we go with why it is required, first we'll try to understand what is Apache Ambari. Managing Hadoop installation by hand can be a very tedious and time-consuming job. We have seen in the previous video what is the difficulty in installing Hadoop installation. It is not a cup of tea for everybody. If you want to install Hadoop, we need to understand and we need to follow each and every step very carefully. Then only we'll be able to successfully install Hadoop. Along with that, we need to maintain or manage a lot of configuration files, like we need to manage core site.xml, or you can say that HDFS site.xml, yarn site.xml, and so on. These are all the different configuration files we need to manage, and all these configuration files need to be synchronized across different the services. Like we have different services in Hadoop 2.0, like HDFS, MapReduce. We have something called as Apache Pig, Apache Hive, Apache HBase services, and so on. So we need to manage these configuration files across these different services. That's another difficulty. And the third thing is when we have multiple number of services like MapReduce, Apache Hive, Apache Pig, Apache HBase, and so on, starting, stopping, and restarting the Hadoop services is a very tedious and difficult job. And each of these particular jobs may be dependent on one another. So it's very difficult to start and stop these particular services in the correct order. So that's another difficulty. And to avoid all these things, so what should be the solution? How can we manage these things without you can say that much difficulty? So there comes something called as Apache Ambari. Apache Ambari is a graphical management tool which is designed to help you easily manage the different services which were running on the top of HDFS cluster, and we can manage the different Hadoop administrative issues, like different configuration files, and how can we start, stop, and restart. Everything can be done using graphical user interface. So in this video, I will discuss some of the basic navigation and the usage scenarios of Apache Ambari. So along with being an installation tool, Apache Ambari can be used as a centralized point of administration for Hadoop cluster. Using Apache Ambari, the user can configure the cluster services. So what are the different services are running, and the configuration of those services can be done with the help of Apache Ambari graphical user interface. The user can monitor the status of the cluster hosts. For example, a particular cluster may be having different number of hosts. So the user can easily monitor the status of each hosts on a cluster or a service, you can say. Visualize the hotspots by service matrix, so that we can before a particular system gets failed, we can easily understand whether there is a need of service of that particular node or so. So that is the one more thing. With the help of graphical user interface, user can start and stop the services easily, and he can add a different host to the cluster with a minimal effort, you can say. So there is some effort required, but still with a minimal effort, user can add a new host to the cluster. So all these features ensures a high level of agility into the process of managing and monitoring the distributed computing environment. Apache also attempts to provide real-time reporting of important metrics. So real-time matrix means whenever we use any node in the cluster, it shows the usage of that particular cluster, how much amount of time that particular node was used, and so on. For example, CPU usage, how much amount of time CPU was used, how much amount of time the CPU is idle, and so on. Such kind of real-time reporting is done by Apache Ambari. I will show you all those things at the later stage. So there are some different views in Apache Ambari. The first view is something called as a dashboard view. that dashboard view contains different widgets. So widgets are nothing but the icons, you can say. So if you click on that particular widget, you will get the full detailed information. So you can move those particular widgets from one location to another location depending on your requirement. You can edit those particular widgets. If you want to remove a particular widget, you can remove that particular widget, or if you want to add more widgets to your dashboard, you can add that particular thing. So all those things can be done in dashboard. Okay, so how the dashboard looks like. So this is how actually the dashboard looks like. If you see this particular dashboard, here it is written like Ambari, and if you go over here, you can see this particular tab. It shows that this particular view is a dashboard view. Okay, so here we can see some different things. I'll come back to this particular thing later. The next one, you can see here there is something called as a services view. We will discuss these things later. And the next view is something called hosts. Alerts is the another view, and finally we have something called as admin view. And this is the place where we can see the user who has currently logged in. In this case, the admin has logged in, so admin is written. If any other user has logged in, the username will be displayed in this particular corner. Okay, so that is what you can easily visualize here. Now coming back to this particular dashboard, these things are called as the widgets. So if you see here, there was you can say that around 16 widgets are there. Actually 15 are there, and if you want to add few more, you can add it over here. And you can see here, this is the first view, that is HDFS disk usage. We have HDFS cluster. What is the total disk usage? That is the status is shown here. So you can see here is 7%. This is what is called as a real-time view. As and when you use that particular disk more, the size of or you can say that the percentage goes on increases, and when we remove, or if you don't use the disk of a particular HDFS cluster, definitely the percentage will decreases. So it will show you the data nodes live, how many data nodes are there, how many live are there, and so on. Here you can see the memory usage, that's the primary memory, how much of memory is being currently used. This will show you the network usage. Here if you can see, this particular thing is the CPU usage, and so on. All these particular things are there. Using these particular things, we can easily visualize the HDFS cluster. Okay, then now what actually happens here is, if you, these are called as a widgets, as I told you earlier. If you want to know the detailed information, like if you click on this particular thing, you get the detailed information. Okay, so if you click on this particular CPU usage, you will get the detailed usage. So that is what is called as this is just a summary, or you can say that the different icons. If you click on these icons or widgets, you will get different or full details of this particular information. Okay, that is what is that called as matrix tab. Okay, so this is currently we are on matrix tab. If you click on this particular thing, you will get the complete information. Okay, for example, let us say that this is one more dashboard view. Assume that we have something called as a cluster load here. So if I click on this particular cluster load, I will be able to get the complete view. So you can see here, this is how actually you will be able to see. So how many processes are there, how many nodes are there, what is the CPU usage time, so things. So what is the minimum usage, maximum usage, and every information will be given. It depends on the kind of thing you are selected. It is the last 1 hour, what is the status. If you want to see last 1 day, that is also possible, last 1 week, so on, so things you can select here. If you click on this particular tab, you will get a drop down menu. You can select the different options depending on your requirement. So in this case, one example has been shown, that is the 1 hour, the last 1 hour, what is the cluster load. Okay, and if you want to export this information, okay, so you can click on this particular export. The information will be exported to you, and then you can save this particular information into a particular file. So that is also possible in this case. So this is how actually the dashboard looks like, and if you click on any of these particular widgets, you will get the complete information. Okay, so that is the thing you need to remember. The next view, as I told you earlier, it's something called as a services view. The services view or a menu provides the detailed lookup at each services running on the cluster. So if you want to see the complete or a full information of all the services which are running on a cluster, we need to go to something called as a services view. It also provides the graphical method of configuring each service. For example, I have installed a lot of services. Just take an example of Apache Hive. I want to configure that particular thing. So in usual way, what we need to do is we need to open a configuration file that is in a XML format. We need to edit it so that we will get we can configure it. Okay. But when it comes to services view, if you click on that particular service, you can see the information, detailed information, as well as you can configure it also. So that is also possible in services view. It provides the summary tab where you can see the summary of services view of important service matrix. So that is again, if you want to, if you click on just services, it will give you complete information. That's the detailed information. If you click on services summary tab, you will get only a summary of those particular services. Okay, so similar to dashboard, what we can do is we can add different services to the services view, and if you want to remove it, you can remove it. The services will be present on the left hand side of that particular view. Okay. If you want to select a particular service, there is no need to do anything, just you need to click on that particular service. Okay, so if you click on that particular service, a particular service will be selected and its information will be displayed to you into the window. So this is how actually the services will look like. This is on the left hand side. You can see these are the different services: AMS, HDFS, Kafka, MapRedis 2, Yarn, Tej, Hive, and so on. These are all the services over here. So right now we can see here, if you look at this particular tick mark, that's the right mark. The meaning of this one is these are the services that are currently installed in your Apache Ambari, and these are the three services: Tej, Pig, and Scoop were not yet installed. So if you want to add these particular things, you can select it, and then you can add these particular services also. So that is also possible. And if you want to remove anything, select it, and then if you click on actions, you will get a different options over there: add a service, remove a service, and so on. So such kind of things also can be done over here. So that is about what we can say that the services. So what we can do with the services, on the left panel you will see the services. If you click on a particular service, you will get the detailed information. The right mark shows that a particular service is currently being installed, and if you see such kind of things like the computer kind of thing, it is not yet installed. Okay, so if you want to install this service, you can click on a particular service, click on actions, and then install it or use it. And if you want to remove a particular service, select a service and then click again on service actions. There you will find an action called as remove service. You can remove that particular service also. So let us say that I'll click on HDFS. So I'll get what we can say that the information about that particular service. So you can see here there are no alerts are there. So the meaning of this one is whenever there is the service is not working perfectly fine, or you can say that a particular node is not working in that particular service, in such case you will get an alert. I will talk about alerts later. Right now there are no alerts, means everything is working perfectly fine. Now if you look at this summary, there is a name node which is currently started. Second name node is started, data node is started, and there are 4 data nodes are there, and all 4 of them are up and running. So that is what 4 out of 4. Okay, so all the 4 data nodes are currently working fine, there is no issues. And what is the name node uptime? It is 28.72 minutes. And the name node heap size, how much amount of heap size is being used? Out of 1 MB, that is 1004 MB, that's nothing but 1004 MB. Out of that 119 MB is used, is around 11.9%. So that's what the thing. The data node status, 4 of them are live, 0 are dead, 0 are decommissioning. So that is what actually you can see. Dead means none of them are dead, everyone is up and running. Decommissioning means I want to remove a particular service from or a data node from the cluster. So right now 0 are decommissioning. So that is the one more thing. And disk usage, what is the total disk usage? 1.1 TB of data is there. Out of that only DFS, it is with respect to distributed file system, only 112 KB is used. Disk usage with respect to non-distributed file system, 81.7 GB is being used. So how much amount of disk is remaining, how many total blocks are there, how many block errors are there. So entire information you will be able to see at one place. So if you want to see the same information on a command prompt, it's very difficult to see it. We need to use commands, and then we need to get this part of information, and depending on this information we need to manage it. Again, it's a very difficult task. But when it comes to this Apache Ambari, you just click on a particular service, you will get the entire information on a fingertip. So when it comes to the right hand side, you can see the in the last 1 hour what is the matrix. Okay, so if you want to change this particular the duration, you can change it like 1 day, 1 week, 1 month or something like that. Okay, so last 24 hours, last 365 days and so on, such kind of things you can do it here, and you will be able to see the metrics. So what is the total space utilization, what is the block status, if there is any block were corrupted and so on, such kind of information you will be able to visualize in this summary tab. And if you want to configure any of these particular services, for example, I want to increase the heap size of that particular name node, so click on this particular config. You will be getting an option to modify all these particular configurations. So if you don't have Apache Ambari, once again I'll tell you, we need to go back to our XML files, and then we need to modify those particular XML files with the property and value pairs. But when it comes to this Apache Ambari, you just need to click on a particular tab. You will get everything in the form of graphical user interface. We can easily modify those that information. It's very easy to modify the information. So that is how actually it is very much helpful for the big data analytics part when it comes to Hadoop and all. So there is a next view called as the host view. It will show you the host name, IP address, the number of cores, memory, disk usage, current load average, and the Hadoop components are listed in this window in a tabular format. To display the Hadoop components installed on each host, click on the link on the rightmost column. You can also add new host using actions pull down menu. So I will tell you that particular thing later. So once you click on this particular host, you will be able to see the different hosts installed on your HDFS. Okay, so this is called as the node 0, node 1, node 0 again, and then Zookeeper 0, 1, 2, 4, and so on. So these are all the things installed on your machine. So what is the IP address where they are installed? Because it is not like everything is installed on the same machine. A particular service may be present on a different machine, another service may be present on another machine, and so on. So where that particular thing is there, so that's the IP address will be displayed to you. Whether all those particular machines or the nodes are present on the same rack or they are present on a different rack, that is what is printed in rack column. So what is the number of cores for each and every nodes, so that will be printed here. So within bracket whatever is there, that is the maximum cores, and outside whatever is written, how many cores are being used and so on. And then the next column is the RAM column. So what is the RAM allotted for this particular node? The next one is the disk usage. So what is disk usage? How much amount of disk is being currently used? What is the load average? You will be able to see here. And if you look at this one, the very little usage of the disk right now. And what is the version, the Hadoop version installed? And what are the different components? If you click on this part, I think you will be able to see all 27 components and also. So this is how actually the host view will look like. So we have seen dashboard view, services, and the host view. And within the host view, if you want to see the components, as I told you earlier, this components, if I click on this particular components, you will be able to see all these particular components. So what are the different components are working on that particular node? So that is what you can see here, and you will see whether they are currently in up state or they are in a shutdown state. Then all of them are currently started. If you want to add one more component, you just click on this add component. So you'll be able to add different components here. And the host related matrices are there. Again, you can change this particular the duration depending on your requirement. It will show you the CPU usage, load time, network usage, how many processes are being used, what is the total memory used in this case, what is the disk usage. If you want to add a new host, what we need to do is we need to click on this host actions, and then you can add, there will be an option called as add new. You can add a new host in that case. So that is the easiest way of adding a new host to the existing cluster. So that is the thing. The next view is something called as admin view. Admin view it's also called as administrator view. The view provides three options actually. The first option is something called as I just show you this part of thing. What is that? The stack and versions. So that is the first one. The second one is something called as the services accounts. So how many, if you click on this one, you will get the different service accounts. And the third one is related to the security related information. So that is what the thing. So if you present on stack and versions, you will see all the services here along with the versions and their services status and the description, a brief description. So HDFS version is so and so, whether it is installed or not. Yes, it is installed. What is the brief description about that particular service? The same with respect to MapReduce 2, Yarn, Tej. This is a Google Tej actually. Apache Hive, Apache HBase, Apache Pig, Apache Scoop. What is the version installed, and the brief introduction, or can say brief description about that particular service is displayed to you. And if you want to see the versions, what was the previous version, what is the new version, you can click on this version. The entire version related information will be able to available to you people. Now if you click on services accounts, you will see the different information related to services. Okay, and this is what kind of services, security information or security is being provided to each and every service. That is nothing but the Kerberos here. So this is about what we can say that the admin panel. There is something called as managing the Hadoop services. There is one more tab you can see here. There is something called as the alerts tab. So what happens here is whenever the cluster is running normal, there will not be any issues. But because the cluster, the Hadoop cluster is very big, there will be many number of the data nodes are present into this particular cluster, and different services are being run on that particular the cluster. So definitely if everything is going fine, there will not be any issues. If any one of the service is not working fine, so in such case what happens is it's very difficult to identify which one is not working and which one is working, what is the health status and all. It's very difficult to notice manually. So what actually the Apache Ambari provides is it provides something called as alerts. We need to provide the email ID. So that to that administrative email ID, this particular alert message will be sent to. As well as there is a tab called as alerts. As I showed you in this part of the thing, there is a alerts tab. It will show you the status of each and every the component as well as the services present on that particular cluster. If you want to see it here, you can see it here. Otherwise, you can mention the administrative email ID. To that particular email ID, if there is something going wrong, that particular information will be sent to that particular email ID. Okay, so that is what all service interruption notifications are sent to that particular email address. Now if you click on this alerts, you will be able to see the different alerts generated, and they were sent to that particular mail. Okay, so if you see this part, I think these are the alert messages were generated, like the metric monitor status, that's okay. The meaning of this one is there is no issue, and it is been generated by AMS service. Ambari agent disk usage, this is the status generated, and the status is again okay, and which was generated by Ambari service. Data node web UI is okay, which is generated by HDFS service, and so on. So this is how actually you will be able to see the different what we can say that notification generated in alerts tab, and the same information is being sent to the administrator's email ID. So that is also actually has happened already. Now if I click on a particular we can say that any of these particular alerts, you will be able to see something like this. So the description is this service level alert is triggered if there is an unhealthy data node. So that is what the description. Threshold is what we can say that okay. So because it is all data nodes are healthy, so that is what is given here. So you can see this part I think is okay here. If anything is not working, it will be highlighted, and you will be getting the information what is the actual reason. And here you not guess, you don't see this part okay button here. So this is how actually the data node health summary will look like. And usually what happens is periodically it generates the alerts, and those alerts will be sent to the administrator email ID, so that the administrator can make necessary changes or manage the services as well as the components at a right time. Because if something goes wrong, there is a possibility that the entire cluster may go down, and there is a possibility that the cluster may not be in a position to serve the requests from client. So it is better to monitor the health of a cluster on a regular basis, and then if there is anything going wrong, we need to manage it at the early stage only. The next one is I just show you one very simple example of how can we do the modification to the Hadoop properties. Like I have set some different properties to that particular Hadoop, and I want to modify those properties at the later stage. As I told you earlier, if you want to do that particular thing manually, I need to go to that XML file, and then we need to update the XML files. Definitely this process is tedious, that is very difficult, and it's time consuming. Okay, but if you come with Apache Ambari, it's very easy because it provides you the graphical user interface. You just need to open that particular configuration file, and then we need to modify it. Okay, again we are doing it manually, but the process is very easy when it comes to Apache Ambari, because we can easily do everything with the help of graphical user interface. There will be icons, there will be a tab, we need to press those things, and then we need to modify the configuration files. Okay, so just one example, I want to modify the resource manager information. So the resource manager name is printed here. What is the current heap size allocated is printed here. If you want to modify it, you can change this particular thing. So 1024 MB is written here. So if you want to modify it, you can modify it here. And then I want to modify this one. You just see this part, yarn log aggregation enable. So you just click this part thing, it will be enabled. Okay, yarn acknowledgement enable. So whether you want to enable it, just click over here, it will be enabled. So this is how actually we can easily do it. But when it comes to normal usage, we need to go to yarn.site XML, and then we need to enable this particular aggregation. So we need to use some property of LFS, and then we need to write it over there. So that's a bit difficult task, but that is not so in this case. We have a user interface, we can modify all these party things using the user interface. Only thing is we need to open it, and then we need to modify those particular content, and it will provide you a lot of messages also. For example, I want to modify something. If you just click OK, and then if everything was modified, it may happen that you have done some wrong modification, it will also be saved. So to avoid that particular thing, what Apache Ambari does is it will ask you a series of questions whether you really want to do the modification and so on. For example, I will take an example of yarn log aggregation enable. If I click on this particular thing, it will not be immediately enabled. It will go to this particular thing. So currently what is the status? Turn off aggregation. So if you want to enable it, it will be enabled. And then you want to save this particular thing. Once you click on that particular save, what actually happens, it will be saved. Otherwise it will not be saved. And then once it is saved, it says that you need to restart your services. Otherwise what happens here is that modification will not be saved. So if everything is fine, you feel that currently whatever the modifications were done, they were perfectly fine, you can restart it, and then the modification will be you can say that they will be done permanently. Otherwise they will not be visible in the cluster. Okay, so that is the one more thing. And then once you click on restart, it will say that it will not be restarted immediately, because some of the services may be running behind, or you can say that the background. So what it asks is whether you really want to restart it. It will ask you the question. So if you say that I really want to restart with the help of confirm restart all, it will restart that particular machine. So this is how actually the resource manager can be modified, or the content of resource manager can be modified. This is about what we can say changing the property. So this is just a brief introduction how can we use Apache Ambari. It's a very simple way of using it. Okay, so this is the main view, that is something called as dashboard view. From here onwards, if you just go on using different views, we can easily manage the different services, different hosts, we can get the different alert messages, and we can say that we can do some administrative changes also. So this is the advantage of using Apache Ambari. So in this video I have discussed what is Apache Ambari, why Apache Ambari is really necessary, and how can we use Apache Ambari with a brief introduction, as well as I have provided some different screenshots. Looking at those screenshots, you can easily understand how to use Apache Ambari. I hope the concept is clear. If you like the video, do like and share with your friends. Press the subscribe button for more videos. Press the bell icon for regular updates. Thank you for watching.